Welcome to this episode of the Growthcast. My name is Jackson Campbell. We are here joined again with Dallas Pruitt for another Saturday extended cut where we dive into a few or sometimes all of the daily drips that Dallas drops throughout the week. If you're unaware, Dallas drops mindset drips Monday through Thursday, about 3 to 5 minute episodes just to get a mindset hit before you start your day to make sure your mindset's in the right way. So on these episodes, we want to review those that Dallas does. Today, we're going to pick out two in particular that we want to talk about. But before we get started, Dallas, just want to thank you for all the hard work that you put into this podcast, these daily drips, and how much value it brings into my life and all of our listeners' lives as well. So thank you so much for your hard work. If you are a listener, a subscriber of the podcast, please share it. Please share it to those that you think could benefit from it. Everybody can benefit from Dallas's daily drips. So please share that with those that you love. Give us a rating and review if you have not yet. But we are very grateful to be able to do this podcast. So let's dive in here. Let's dive in, Dallas. There's two episodes we wanted to go over today and maybe dive a little bit deeper into and unpack a little bit more. And the first one was the episode that you dropped on Wednesday called Self-Confidence and Identity. I'm going to flip it over to you for a quick summary, and then I'll have some questions that I want to ask you as well.
Yeah, this was kind of a deeper dive, and I'm excited to unpack this one just because of all the feedback that was received on our end from listeners. You know, I think that self-confidence is something that I don't know, you and I could probably agree that that's something that a lot of people struggle with.
Totally.
It's a tough thing to navigate, you know, and also not confuse confidence with other things, right? And identity, which really is like change 101, like at the root of change, positive change. It's really a matter of changing your identity, not just changing things, but like changing the way you see yourself, and identifying with different things, new things, better things. And so I think that's why it got the kickback or the feedback, not kickback, the feedback that it received is just because it's very applicable for all of us, because these are two things that I think we're constantly working on as people, is trying to upgrade our identity and increase our self-confidence. If you can upgrade your identity and you can increase your self-confidence, that is a surefire way to grow and succeed and find happiness and fulfillment in the things that you strive to accomplish throughout your time, you know? Yeah. And so, what I went through here is, the action with the list that I gave in the drip was to accept some misconceptions, and then reject the urge to fall into a trap when those things come up, so that you can continually build your new identity and you can continually increase your self-confidence. And I think there's some misconceptions that we wanted just to help people identify so that they could, traps, if you will, right? Like when you get stuck in a trap, what's the job? Course correct, catch yourself and get yourself out of there. The first one was what I possess is me. I think we're locked down into such a materialistic world. We tend to tie our identity into the things that we acquire. And that could even include titles, right? Like it's not just material things, but a lot, we were talking heavy on material things here. And that's false. It is false, man. It's not true. And the more you possess and acquire does not mean that you will have higher self-confidence. That's not where self-confidence comes from, right? If you tie your self-confidence and identity into your possessions, what ends up happening is you feel hollow, right? You'll acquire more, but you'll still feel this void. You'll still feel this emptiness. And I wanted to be really clear in this because I don't want people to be confused. Like wanting more and acquiring more is something that I strive for.
It's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing.
Like, and I think that's where people it's like either or. No. Like it is good to want more. It is good to want to be better and have better. Yeah. It is a good thing. You should feed that.
It's just when it gets sticky is when you start attaching your self-confidence to those items, to those material possessions that you have. That's when it starts getting tricky. That's what you're saying, right?
Yep. When you start to attach your self-confidence to the more you have and your identity to those things, that's the problem. That's the problem. That's where bigger problems come. And so it was just giving that right? So that we can recognize it, again, accept the fact that that's a misconception. That's not true. Accept the reality that like you are not what you possess. You are you, period. Who you are has nothing to do with what you have. What you have can become a byproduct of you increasing who you are as a person, right? And just making sure that we can catch ourselves when we start to misconstrue or misidentify with the things that we have and thinking that that is what amplifies us. That's not what amplifies us.
Man, that's so powerful, right? You talk about error-ridden thinking and correcting those error-ridden thoughts, and this is one of them that I think people fall into without even realize that they fall into, is just to correct that. Like Dallas says, I just want to reiterate, it's not bad to want good things. It's not bad to want nice things for you and your life and for your family and for those the ones you love. But like Dallas is saying, it's once you attach your identity to it is when it becomes an issue, is when it becomes a problem. And because the minute you stop acquiring things, imagine, heaven forbid, something horrible happens and you do stop acquiring possessions.
Stripped away from you, right?
Exactly.
Out of second.
Exactly. In a moment when really the only thing that should control your self-confidence is you. And the actions and the things that you do and the actions that you take. The
character you have, who you are, what it is you do day in and day out. Your effort, your attitude, your perspective. Like those things are who you are.
Right.
And let me see if I can tie this into our book of the month. Okay. If we're going to riff on this for a second. Good to Great by Jim Collins. He talks about the highest level of leadership. And he talks about how if you want to achieve the highest level of leadership, it doesn't suffice to talk about like service-based leadership, right? Like leaders are servers. Leaders are service-based. He said that's doing it a disservice. He says it's better to attach like a number, like an incremental. The higher the number, the better the leader. And he likes to call those top-tier leaders level 5 leaders. And he brought a point into this level 5 leadership principle in his book, which was, dude, there are level 5 leaders in lots of different positions in the world. Just because you run a high-level company and you have a lot of money, just because your company makes an impact, right? Like just because financially you're having success, just because you live in a beautiful home and drive a nice car, that doesn't make you a great leader. Those are beautiful things, and you should strive for those things. If you're wanting to, you should. In fact, I would argue that like it's healthy to want to have some nice things. Very healthy. But man, there are level 5 leaders everywhere. There are level 5 leaders in the police force. There are level 5 leaders in education. There are level 5 leaders in business. And level 5 leaders understand this concept. And because they understand this concept, they are able to have the larger impact on the masses that they serve. And that is because they understand that they are who they are, not what they have, not their title, nothing. Everything that they do and the service they render and the focus and attention they give to everything outward as well as themselves in helping themselves become better, that's what allots them the opportunity to be a level 5 leader and have the impact that they have. And so again, does being a level 5 leader increase the probability that you'll have some nice things? Sure, depending on the way you navigate financial opportunities and those types of things. But man, we are not what we possess. We are not the titles we have. We are us. You are you. I am me. I am me. And that boils down to, what do I do every day? How do I approach my day? What are my thoughts? What's my attitudes? What's my character? What's my integrity? And if I can master those things, I will be better in all aspects of my life. Yeah. And I'll probably have more than what I would have had, without living that way. So
you're talking about these characteristics, these core characteristics of people, and making sure that you're who you truly are and those traits that you have, and making sure that you live those. And that's just to kind of loop it back in here. That's where self-confidence really comes from, I believe, is when you're truly living who you believe to be and who you believe you are.
Oh, yeah.
And the minute you start doing that and you start really taking advantage of that, is the moment your self-confidence starts to grow.
Oh,
do you agree?
Oh, dude, I would say that if you had, me, I'm all about simple definitions. And so like Self-confidence is exactly what you just said. And if you could simplify it even further, it's making a promise to yourself and then fulfilling on that promise, like making an agreement with yourself that you're going to do something, and then you go out and you do it.
Yeah.
Not talk about it, not think about it, not have only good intentions. Right? Something has to follow those intentions. Something has to, and that's action. And that's going out and proving it to yourself, making a promise to yourself, small promises, and then going out and fulfilling on those promises to yourself, and then increasing those promises each time. That's where self-confidence comes from, right? That's where self-confidence comes from. Absolutely.
And that's how your identity is created.
Through action.
Is through action, is through doing these things, right? So that's so powerful. And it's such a good reminder, right? We talk about growth, and we talk about how to grow all the time, and self-confidence and really understanding who you are as a person is one of the most important parts to growth. Because as soon as you really understand who you are, what are your core values, what are those characteristics that are important to you, then it really helps you cultivate your identity. That's going to give you that self-confidence to be able to accomplish the things that you want to do. So this principle is seriously, it's like one of the core root things that we have to really understand if we want to be able to grow. Is that we have to be able to, like you said, keep those promises to ourselves and become that person that we're trying to become.
And it really cleans up the navigation system through the mess of growing in the process of like doing hard things. It really cleans up the navigation system. Like now you're navigating with a clear windshield instead of like broken, windshield wipers that like you feel like you're having to squint every time there's an exit or a turn or whatever, right? Like you got great windshield wipers when you're doing that. And you can see so much better, and it makes it so much easier to make decisions and navigate the messiness of the process and the difficulties that pop up, when
you're clear on who you are and what you stand for.
And you fulfill on it every day. And you follow through and you fulfill on that every day. And you build on that every day. Absolutely. The other misconceptions, and just kind of to grind through it really quick so we can get to the next, I am my accomplishments, kind of right in line, right? You are not your accomplishments. If you adopt this type of mentality, you're going to sit and live with this thirst that literally you will never be able to quench ever. Like you'll achieve something and you'll just want to keep rolling and rolling and rolling and rolling. And that's good. You should want to keep achieving more, but you shouldn't feel empty. You shouldn't feel empty because you haven't achieved the next thing. You shouldn't, that's not healthy. That's not going to produce a better you. That's a mental health issue. That's a problem. Right.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest takeaways from this is I am my accomplishments, is like you're saying, is no, you're not your accomplishments. But what if you stop accomplishing things? You know what I mean? What if there's a point in your life where you do stop, like you're working and you're growing and maybe the accomplishments aren't necessarily there? That strips your identity away from you, strips your accomplishment away from you, your self-confidence away from you when you're not accomplishing those things. I think another very important thing to remember in this process as we do accomplish things is to keep that excitement in check when you do accomplish things. You know what I mean? Give yourself a pat on the back that you did accomplish something hard, that you were able to overcome a challenge, but also remember that the fact that you overcame a challenge is your identity. Not necessarily that accomplishment. Does that make sense what I'm trying to say? It's not that accomplishment that gives you that self-confidence. It's that process that you went through to accomplish whatever that is that gives you that self-confidence and identity.
But also that is exactly right. And the other part to that is that's where your self-confidence comes from, but that's not where your value comes from. And that's the thing that people get confused, right? Is it's like, I'm only valuable if I'm accomplishing something. That is not true. Your value does not come from your accomplishment. Your accomplishment comes as a byproduct of you keeping promises to yourself every single day and taking action and being intentional with what you do, right? And all these things that we talked about. But that's not where your value comes from. Your value does not come from your accomplishments, right? Your self-worth, dude, that comes from inside here.
Yep.
Right. That has nothing to do with a tangible trophy that you've achieved through some whatever, right? That's not where your value comes from. And you have to tap into the value you have as an individual whether you're accomplishing great things or not. Like, you will only accomplish great things if you see yourself as extremely valuable, your true value that exists, whether you're accomplishing that great thing or not. Right. And so that's why it's a recipe for disaster if you start to adopt the mentality of I am my accomplishments, because your value does not come from your accomplishment. Yeah. Right. That is not, your self-worth is not where that comes from. So
such a good reminder, and such a great way to articulate it. Thank you, Dallas. That's awesome.
And then the last one was just I am what other people tell me. Like, it's important to pay no attention to the things that boost your ego. You know, say thank you. When you get a compliment, say thank you. I've actually learned that as a really important principle, man. Like, I'm so quick to, I think I gave an example of even when we were in Vegas, Jackson, I came off stage and you like, dude, you did such a great job, D. Like, I'm so proud of you, dude. You got a standing ovation. And I didn't say thank you. I went right into being hard on myself.
You did.
I went right into judging my performance and being hard on myself. I skipped over a crucial step, dude. When you receive a compliment, a true compliment, don't brush it off.
No.
Say thank you, acknowledge it. Thank you. Be genuinely grateful for the perspective and for the congratulations. Like that is an important step of the process for sure that I think a lot of us skip over. But coming back to this,
what you're saying though is don't let those compliments boost your ego. Take them with gratitude. Take them with grace. Say thank you. Realize that you had that impact on that person for them to see that in you. So thank them for that.
Yeah.
Thank them.
Yeah, there's the other opposite route, huh? That's the opposite route, is to like, you could have said that to me and I could have been like, you're right, dude. I did. That's who I am. That's who I am. I'm a guy who just kills it every single time I go out on the stage. Now, that's ego. That's not confidence. Confidence is knowing that you are going to go out and you're going to do a good job. You're going to do a great job because you've proven it to yourself over and over and over again. And then confidence also comes from humility and saying, thank you. I appreciate the compliment. Thank you for the congratulations. I love and appreciate you, man. That's that humility factor, right? And
one thing that I do want to add to here, Dal. Sorry, I got a cough. I've had a little bit of a cold. I apologize.
You're good.
One thing that I do want to add here, though, is when you do receive those compliments, say thank you, take them with grace, but also you can let them boost your self-belief in yourself.
Oh,
when you get a compliment from somebody and it's a compliment that is what you're trying to do. For example, Dallas goes up on stage, crushes it at Peak Partnership, gets a standing go, comes off, gives me a hug. I said, dude, you did such a fantastic job. You got a standing go. Great job, my man. It's the first time you've ever spoken in front of that many people. You crushed. Dallas could have very easily taken what I said and used that to boost his self-confidence, which I think he did after he realized.
As you're walking through, absolutely, man. You don't understand the impact that had on my self-confidence.
Right. So also keep that in mind when you're giving other people compliments and you're giving other people those and you're talking to other people about that, is be honest in those compliments that you give people, because you want it to boost their self-belief and their self-confidence in their own identity, but you don't want it to feed their ego either, if that makes sense.
And it's funny how doing that for others also helps us get better, right? Totally. It also helps us get better. Which honestly, dude, is a perfect segue into the second piece that we wanted to talk about, which is being intentional. Intentionality, 101. But there was a little bit of a different take here. I wanted to set the stage for everybody by talking about the law of attraction. I think it's a law that's talked about, and I think it's also a misunderstood law. It's a real law. I mean, there's science behind all of this, and we could go down the rabbit hole, but I want to simplify the navigation system, into the rabbit hole of what the law of attraction is. Some people think it's just like a magical process that, like, simply by thinking about something that you want over and over again, that somehow like these people and these things just appear in your life. And that's very far from reality. That's very far from the truth. If it were only that simple, I said we'd all be in the perfect scenario. We'd all have our dream lives. That's just, because I'm sure lots of people stop and think about their dream life, the ones that get there and the ones that stay way far away from it. I'm sure there's every walk of life that stops and thinks about their dream scenario. The law also doesn't permit us to just go every exact place we want to go in life and do every exact thing that we want to do in life. Get all your true, all your perfect desires in life. Like nobody's lived a perfect, like nobody drew anything up ever throughout the course of history. That's what makes life so great. Like nobody ever drew anything up and was like, I want X, Y, and Z, and I want to do this. It's like, no, dude, I wanted 3 kids and my wife's about ready to have a 4th. So, like nothing works out perfect. It works out the way it's supposed to when you give power to the things that work, and it works out better, right? When you give power to the things that work, the things that we talk about on here, but you don't get to design it all perfectly. You get to learn how to navigate it the best you possibly can. And that's how things turn out better. But with the law of attraction, really like in the most simplified form, if you want to accomplish, if you want to acquire something, if you want to build something great, if you want to become something great and do something great with your life, with your business and make an impact, it's really easy, man. Meaning like that was cheap of me to say that's very easy. If you stick to this easy step-by-step process, you'll get there. You'll get there. It'll be hard, but you'll get there. And step 1 is you have to plant a seed, right? And a lot of people who listen to this, they have planted that seed. They did a good job of planting that seed. A large chunk of our listeners right now planted a seed of they want to acquire multifamily apartments. They want to do multifamily deals, right? We have lots of listeners from all different walks of life, but there's a large chunk that was the seed that was planted, right? So, but this works for everything. That's a financial piece, right? Like there's a lot of financial benefit that comes from doing these multifamily deals. There's lots of other benefits too. But you could pick any aspect of your life and plant a seed. You could plant a seed for the physical part of your life. You could plant a seed for the spiritual part of your life, relationships, intellectual, business, whatever. Like pick an avenue, plant a seed in that area, right? And then the next step, once you've planted a seed, an idea, the next step is to just direct your thoughts to a very specific outcome, not be general anymore. The idea, right? The idea of like, I gave the example of I want to double my income. That's an idea. I was like, very general. I mean, that's cool. You want to double your income. How much more specific can we get about that? How can we create a really specific aim for that? And if you were to do that, you would start to put a deadline on it. It's like, okay, the idea of doubling my income has become so strong and so powerful. I want to raise the bar by January of 2023. If that's going on for you right now, the deadline is by January of 2023, I'm going to double my income. That's 7 months down the road. And maybe that's not realistic for you, but maybe it is for you. I don't know. That's up to you to decide based off the things the opportunities you have, everything else, right? But now you've given thoughts to a very specific outcome and you've given it a deadline. You've made it real. It's not an idea anymore. You've made it real. In fact, to take it a step further, you wrote it all down. You freaking analyzed it and you wrote all this stuff down. And you started to make a plan. And now that you've made this plan and you've given yourself a deadline, right? And you've given numbers to it. Maybe you're making $6,000 a month right now. So by January 2023, you're going to be making $12,000 a month. All of a sudden, you've just opened up your mind to start to think about the how. How am I going to do that? What are the opportunities for me to do that? What do I have around me? What am I missing? And all of a sudden, it's like law of attraction. You're seeing all these opportunities. You're seeing all these things pop up. And what's missing is just the actions, the step-by-step actions, which is a process, right, of capitalizing and incrementally moving down that path of the plan that you've drafted up. It's no longer an idea. It's no longer just a dream, right? And then the last one here is to visualize. Step 3 is to visualize that specific outcome playing out successfully. And not just once, but this involves a lot of daily visualization. Imagination is the word I used. Let your imagination see and hear all the actions, all the people, all the conversations, all the deals, all the opportunities that are going to be required of you for you to make that a reality in January. And when you get really good at doing that over and over and over and over and over and over again, right? All of a sudden, the law of attraction, it starts to undergo its process there. That's how it works. I think it's Ed Milet. He talks about the reticular activation system or something like that. Tyler's talked about it in the past. That's what that is, right? You have to go through all three of those steps. And then that third step is ongoing and involves, and then attaching it to action, right? Like attaching that visualization to testing the hypothesis of the next step of the plan, putting it to work. If it doesn't work, making a modification and trying something different. Lots of trial and error, lots of learning, but still walking over the imagination part, the visualization part, every single day within that new segment of the process of that path that you've started to go down until boom, you're in January. And if you don't get to January making $12,000 a year, maybe you're making 9, maybe you're making 10 a month, right? Sorry, not a year, a month. Sweet. Look how much more progress you've made. Start to make adjustments, get better at that refining process of the visualization, opportunity, action, visualization, opportunity, action. And all of a sudden, as you get better and better and better, you're going to start probably surpassing that $12,000 mark, right? That's how it works. That's the law of attraction in more detail, in much finer detail. It's not just simply thinking about something you want in your life and sending out hopes and prayers,
right?
Thinking about it very consistently. You got to get strategic here. You got to break it down. And this is a great step-by-step process to just continually come back to all the time as you build your life, as you build your business.
So valuable. Dallas, if we were to add a fourth step there, would it be to take action?
Yeah. And I think that I even put on here, right? Like something in the drip was something about, let's see, uber specific thoughts that are brought about by planting a seed, defining a very specific outcome and visualizing success playing out within that defined outcome. And then, just getting better at being intentional with our actions within the confines of that step-by-step process. Yep.
So valuable. Let me just review these 3 steps. Plant a seed. Direct your thoughts to a specific outcome is the second one. And visualize the goal playing out successfully and visualize it often. Right. And then if there was a fourth step, it would be to take action on what it is that you visualize and what it is that you've planned out in your head to be able to accomplish what it is so that you are living intentionally.
Yeah. Dallas, the fourth step is to jump into that live life model we talk about, which is now that you've done all that, learn, implement daily, fail daily, evolve daily, and then incrementally move down towards whatever that outcome is and then surpass it and build new ones.
I love it. So good, man. So these are the steps you need to take before you start living life, the acronym of live, implement, fail, and evolve. These are the steps to take before that.
Yep.
To make sure that you're living your life with intention. Dallas, so much value in this episode, so much value that you've given us today. Thank you so much. Is there anything else you wanted to say or actionables you wanted to give as we wrap up here?
The only thing I would add, Jax, is it comes back to that quote we always share, man. It's like our job, we view our job as helping you, doing everything we can to help you live a life on purpose with purpose, grow a business on purpose with purpose. It all comes back to purpose, fulfillment, that fulfillment part, dude, that's a purposeful business, a purposeful life. That's how you feel the empty feeling that some of us get sometimes. Is dude, we got to attach everything to purpose, everything to a higher purpose, our purpose. And so, keep doing what you do on purpose with purpose, my friends, and we'll keep doing everything we can to help you navigate the messiness of the process.
That's good. Awesome. Dallas, thank you so much for your time and your knowledge this afternoon. For those of you that are listening, please subscribe, share, rate, and review the podcast. Dallas, thanks again, my man. Thank you to everyone that listens. We appreciate you. We love you. We so look forward to doing these episodes because we love this community and we hope that we're bringing value to your life. If there's anything we can do for you, please feel free to reach out. get in contact with me. My email address, Jackson at the multifamilymindset.com. Please feel free to shoot me an email with any suggestions or anything that you'd like to say to Dallas and I can make sure all messages are passed over to Dallas as well. So have a great weekend. Thank you so much for listening. Take care, y'all.